I remember this moment vividly. I had left my keys on the kitchen counter again and spent a frantic 10 minutes tearing the house apart. Maybe this sounds familiar to you. Forgetting something small feels trivial, but forgetting something important can shake your whole day. It's weird how memory works. Sometimes a name, a date, or even a childhood moment comes back clearly, while other times it's like the memory was never there. Today, I want to take you on a journey into your own mind. We'll explore how strong your long term memory really is. And I've got a free test that will show you exactly where you stand. Let's break it down simply. Long term memory is the system in your brain that stores information for days, months, or even decades. Unlike short term memory, which holds a phone number just long enough to dial it, long term memory is built to last. Psychologists often divide it into three main types: episodic memory, your personal experiences, like your first day at school; semantic memory, facts and knowledge, like knowing that Paris is the capital of France; procedural memory, skills and actions, like riding a bike or typing on a keyboard. The classic Atkinson and Shiffrin model explains it as a flow. Information first enters short term memory, and through processes like repetition, meaningful connections, and emotion, it moves into long term storage. Long term memory isn't just a passive vault, it's dynamic, constantly reorganizing and connecting new information with old. That's why remembering something can trigger related memories you didn't even realize you had. Understanding this is the first step in testing and improving your own memory. Forgetting isn't just carelessness, it's a normal part of how your brain works. Psychologists like Herman Ebbinghaus showed this with the forgetting curve, which reveals that we lose a large portion of new information within the first hours, unless we actively review it. There are two main types of interference that trip up memory: proactive interference. Old memories block new ones. Think of learning a new phone number, but your old number keeps popping up. Retroactive interference. New information overwrites old memories, like when you move to a new address and keep forgetting your previous one. Retrieval also plays a huge role. Memories don't disappear. They just become harder to access without the right cues. That's why you might suddenly remember a detail when you see a familiar photo or hear a certain song. Even emotions and stress affect recall. High stress floods the brain with cortisol, which can make memories harder to retrieve, while emotional events are often encoded more deeply. Understanding why we forget is crucial before testing your own long term memory. I'll never forget the day I completely blanked on my best friend's birthday. I had seen the date on the calendar a dozen times, yet somehow, when the day came, it just slipped away. I walked past their house, realized my mistake, and felt that sinking pit in my stomach. It wasn't just the missed celebration, it was the guilt, the embarrassment, the "how could I forget" spinning in my head. Moments like this are so relatable because we all experience memory lapses, even in important areas of our lives. And here's the thing: it's not just about remembering or forgetting, it's about how your brain stores and retrieves these memories. And that's exactly what we're about to explore. Long term memory is more than just storage. It's a complex process with three key steps: encoding, storage, and retrieval. Encoding is how information enters your brain. Your brain pays attention to meaningful details, emotions, or patterns. That's why you often remember emotionally charged moments more vividly than mundane ones. Once encoded, information moves to storage. The hippocampus acts like a librarian, organizing memories and connecting them with related knowledge. Over time, these memories are consolidated in the prefrontal cortex, making them more stable and easier to retrieve later. Sleep plays a huge role here. During deep sleep, your brain replays and strengthens memories, which is why a good night's rest can make a huge difference in recall. Finally, there's retrieval, bringing memories back into conscious thought. Retrieval is cue dependent. Seeing a photo, hearing a song, or even smelling a familiar scent can trigger vivid recollections. Think of it like filing papers in a cabinet. The better the filing system, organization, repetition, emotional relevance, the faster and more accurately you can pull out what you need. Understanding this process is key before we jump into the free long-term memory test, which will help you see it in action. Now, it's time to see your long-term memory in action. This free test is simple, and you can do it at home without any special tools. The goal isn't to stress you, it's to observe how your brain stores and retrieves information. Step 1. Recall exercise. Think back to a random day last week. Try to list everything you remember: what you ate, who you spoke to, what tasks you completed. Don't judge your memory, just let it flow. Step 2, recognition exercise. Grab a newspaper or scroll through your favorite news app. Look at 10 headlines for 1 minute, then cover them and try to write down as many as you can recall. This tests your ability to recognize and retain new information. Step 3, sequencing exercise. Recall a sequence of events, like your morning routine. Can you put actions in the exact order? This tests your procedural and episodic memory. Interpreting your results. If you recalled most details easily, your long-term memory encoding and retrieval are strong. If you struggled, it may indicate weak retrieval cues or interference, not necessarily poor memory. Remember, memory is dynamic, and performance can improve with practice and the right techniques. This test isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, which is the first step to strengthening your memory. Imagine someone who can recite decades-old conversations or remember every book they've read, like a chess grandmaster recalling every game move. That's what strong, long-term memory can look like in real life. It's not just about trivia. It's context, patterns, and connections that stick effortlessly. On the other hand, think of someone who constantly misplaces their keys, forgets appointments, or blanks on names at social gatherings. These lapses aren't failures. They reflect gaps in retrieval or weak encoding, which can be improved. Here's something most people don't notice. Even small improvements in memory change how you experience daily life. Remembering little details strengthens relationships, boosts confidence, and helps you feel more in control. Understanding these real-life contrasts prepares you to apply strategies to enhance your own long-term memory, which we'll dive into next. Improving long-term memory isn't about luck. It's about strategies backed by science. Here's how to strengthen yours. 1. Spaced repetition. Instead of cramming, review information at increasing intervals. Psychology research shows that spacing out practice dramatically improves retention. Apps like Anki use this principle to help you remember anything from languages to facts. 2. Elaboration. Connect new information to something you already know. The more associations you make, the easier it is to encode and retrieve memories. For example, linking a historical event to a personal experience makes it stick. 3. Mnemonics and visualization. Memory champions often use mental imagery and acronyms to remember complex information. Turning abstract data into vivid, story-like images helps your brain store it more effectively. 4. Lifestyle factors. Sleep, exercise, and stress management are critical. During deep sleep, the brain consolidates memories, while exercise boosts neuroplasticity, and lower stress keeps cortisol from interfering with recall. 5. Focus and minimize distractions. Attention residue, the leftover mental energy from previous tasks, can block memory encoding. Focusing on one task at a time ensures your brain fully encodes information into long-term storage. Using these strategies consistently doesn't just improve memory, it reshapes how your brain organizes and retrieves information, making everyday life smoother and more reliable. Memory is tricky. There are a few myths that can mislead us. First, memory isn't a video recorder. You don't store exact copies of events. Instead, your brain reconstructs memories each time you recall them, which means details can shift subtly over time. Second, forgetting isn't always bad. Our brains filter out irrelevant information to prevent overload, which actually helps focus on what matters most. Third, people often believe strong memory means remembering everything perfectly. In reality, it's about retrieval efficiency and organization, not flawless recall. Understanding these misconceptions helps you approach memory with a realistic and effective mindset, which is far more useful than chasing the illusion of perfect recall. I remember the first time I applied what I learned about memory. I tried the exercises, used simple mnemonics, and paid more attention to how I encoded information. A week later, I could recall details I normally would have forgotten, and it felt like a small superpower. Here's the thing. Improving long-term memory isn't about being perfect. It's about awareness, practice, and understanding how your brain works. So, take the free test we went through, notice where you excel and where you struggle. Each insight is a step toward a sharper, more reliable memory. Your memory shapes how you experience life. Treat it well, and it will reward you in ways you never expected.